Hello everyone, this is Ukrainian Toronto Television podcast, and we're here today with our beautiful co-host Melania Podolyak and the other beautiful co-host, myself, Mark Kaplan. And today we are here because something happened. The Oscars ceremony happened, Academy Awards, and one movie, documentary, won this Oscars. This movie is Navalny, the documentary about Navalny, the opposition leader from Russia, about the investigation of his own poisoning. And we are a little bit outraged here because reasons. And little reasons. Yeah, there are some, and we will tell you more about it. We'll tell you about what's the problem with Navalny, for instance, what's the problem with this movie, and why did it get the Oscars in at the end? Why? Indeed, why? Melania, do you know why he won this Oscars?
As a person who enjoys watching movies, and I need to put a disclaimer, I love documentaries. This is my favorite kind of genre of movies. I actually have zero clue why this movie got an Oscar. I actually don't. I mean, I know I have my theories why, and I think that's what we're going to discuss today, but it's in my humble opinion, a pretty bad movie. So I don't think it got its award for, its artistic value. I think what happened here is a whole bunch of political, very bad and very dishonest reasons.
I watched this movie only, I guess, the day before yesterday, because everyone talked about it and everyone, it was obvious it will win the Oscars nomination. Somehow, for some reason, everyone knows which movie will win what in advance.
Wink, wink. Somehow everybody knows.
Curious. Yeah. Why is that? Yeah, but and I watched it. I didn't watch it before. I watched the actual investigation, the YouTube video of it. It was pretty much complete. And then I was asking myself after watching it, why did he shoot this movie at the end? Why did he have to shoot it? What additional value it gives to the viewers? They didn't even dub it, so there is no...
You see, the problem is that documentaries, especially investigative documentaries, they're usually there to give you this big revelation at the end. You're trying to show something that hasn't been shown before. And as you mentioned before, everything that is to know about this poisoning and about these events has been pretty much already shown in a series of YouTube videos actually published by Navalny's team. So this is kind of a teeny tiny bit lazy, in my opinion. And then again, there is literally nothing new, I guess, that we have learned from this movie. Well, yes, Navalny exists. He did his thing in Russia. He was poisoned by, I'd say, incompetent members of Russian, security services and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. I really don't see the added value, especially if you look into other movies, other documentaries that have been credited, the highest award in the movie industry ever. I mean, it's pretty weak. And this is the reason why we're talking about this, is usually when we talk about these kinds of awards, there's this discussion whether, in terms of cinematography or in terms of some spectacular, reveal.
Or in terms of value, for society, for instance.
Yes, for society especially. I love referencing this, and I'm sorry, I'm going to start from the very beginning. There are documentaries about Russia that are very important, and they are actually very influential and has made a lot of changes. I'm obviously referring one of my favorite documentaries in the whole world called Icarus. It's a film about Russian doping scandal. And after that movie, a lot has changed. And that movie got an Oscar. And so if you compare these two, both are about Russia, sort of. Both are, very politicized, if you will. But then they're not really equal. You cannot put them aside and one next to another and say, hey, both of these have the same cultural and political impactful value. That is not a thing that exists.
Yeah, when you watch a documentary. It should change your mind about something. It should reveal something. Like, I don't know, about the cars, right? We found out about this huge scandal about doping, all this stuff, how Russians mixed up the pee in their laboratories. Stole the piss. It was revealing, it changed a lot, etc. And now this movie, well, it might be, like, it might have some value maybe a year ago before something huge happened. But now it's like, there's huge war, and Russians killed hundreds, probably of thousands of people. We don't know exactly how many. And now we are shown about, look, Putin is a monster. He ordered poisoning of someone. And it's like,
and it's not even, you know, a story of martyrdom. It's not a story of this brave person. It's a story about, I'm sorry, political events of another country. It's about elections virtually, because I'm pretty sure, and I think I'm running a little bit ahead of myself here, but I wonder if Navalny would ever get elected as president if he wasn't poisoned. I really don't think he posed any threat to Putin. I mean, we know pretty much, you know, like a lot of things that one can know about Russia. And as a matter of fact, anybody can say with 100% certainty that Putin is not going anywhere. So it's a whole story about, I'm sorry, a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, it's bad when people die, and poisoning people is a very bad idea. And we don't condone poisoning, right?
Yeah. And an investigation is great, to be honest. Like the investigation itself is brilliant. The things they found is great. But like, it happened already. It happened before.
It was on YouTube. Award.
The whole movie, almost whole movie was on YouTube, and then they're like,
the Academy might as well have awarded this Oscar to a YouTube video.
Yeah, but like, again, what we have found out, that Russians, siloviki, are fucking idiots, or that like Putin is a maniac. Come on, there's like Mariupol, there's Bucha, there's everything. They like revealed themselves thousands of times till like in this year. What's new about this movie? And like, yeah, with this I would like to transit. And with this, we're transitioning to the another topic. Why did this movie won this Oscar? Like, what happened in, like, how movies win Oscars, and why exactly this one, not others? Not, for example, the one about Ukrainian kids in Lysychansk under bombing, evacuating, etc. Why this movie? And that's another question about like how these Oscars work on themselves. It's not just like some magic god choosing films. There's a whole story about how producers, activists are lobbying things, are bribing, probably, allegedly, are doing some guerrilla lobbying. There was a recent scandal about American actors endorsing one of the actresses for the movie in advance of the Oscars, which is, by the way, is forbidden by the Oscars. But they did it openly, but they're usually doing this in the cafes, on the yachts, etc., etc. We all know this. There are a bunch of investigations by different outlets, American outlets.
It's not even sometimes that difficult. Like, it's not even sometimes about arranging a meeting on a yacht with a private showing. Sometimes it's literally sending a brand new iPad as a gift with a movie that is to be awarded an Oscar downloaded on it to the person who votes. So it's like any other industry, meddling. Nothing is objective at this point. Nothing is transparent. But the reason this very thing is so concerning is that I kind of feel, and I think, Mark, you will agree with me here, it's about trying to finally find these good Russians somewhere. It's all about that. It's about, oh my God, Russians are the villains. It's been like this for ages. What about these little guys What about this family that we can drag on the stage and make all kinds of political statements, which we will address too, I guess. But the point is, like, they're so desperate in looking for at least one nice, pretty Russian that they can all, be fans of. But it's not genuine. It's not genuine. It does not feel genuine. It feels very contrived, and it bothers me, and it bothers a lot of people, because we like, sporting events, and we like competition because it's unpredictable. This time it was so predictable, it's stupid.
Yeah, and yeah, it is obvious this nomination was political in the first place. It was they were open about it. It's like a statement. Hello, we've chosen to support the alternative Russia. Like, there is some alternative Russia, not that Russia which is committing genocide, but there is an alternative Russia, and there is a leader of this alternative Russia, and they're all good and want democracy, but just can't because they're occupied or something. And they are playing this narrative, trying to find here it just couldn't be that the whole there's a huge nation with very militaristic culture, so to say, with a death cult, which is just okay with committing genocide. There should be some which are good, and they're actual leaders, not those who are committing genocide. And I prepared the Navalny wife's speech on Oscars, and I will show it now. Here it is.
Just for defending democracy, Alexey, I am dreaming the day when you will be free and our country will be free. Stay strong, my love. Thank you.
And it's first of all, she says no word about Ukraine or war or anything whatsoever. She talks about Russia being free. It's like Russia being occupied right now.
Free country, free Russia. I'm sorry, but after seeing pictures of actual occupied territories and listening the stories and the war crimes about there, actually calling any country that is not literally occupied is a spit in the face of everybody who suffered occupation. I mean, come on. This is not, it's not close to that. And then we're not even going to, dig deeper into, how many chances they had to fix everything, yada, yada, yada. The point is, saying that, there's some Russia that is not free. I mean, you guys have 144 million people living there. And there is no regular military shelling your cities daily 24/7.
It's not even North Korea style autocracy.
It's bad,
Korea, but not that bad.
Yes. And so by calling to free Russia, free from whom? Just do the thing. You know how it's done. A whole bunch of countries have went through all sorts of revolutions. Get your shit together and do it. But no. They're gonna wait. And they're going to talk about this guy being in prison. And are they going to wait for him to come out and fix stuff? Or are they just going to wait for somebody else to come and fix it for them? No, they're just going to show up in pretty dresses somewhere in the US, receiving these fancy awards, taking all these selfies while their father and husband is in prison, need I remind you. And it's always great. Just let's wait until some abstract Russia is free. Because as you said, yes, people believe in this abstract Russia where people, shit butterflies and unicorns live and Navalny's president and everything is happy-go-lucky, which I find ridiculous.
Yeah. And Oscars, I mean, this year, we'll switch topic a little bit, just a little bit, because Oscars this year.
Let's not freak out. We should switch topics so we don't get
we have a plan here, guys. We have a plan, and we will stick to it. Even though it's poorly prepared, we only have had couple of hours. Don't judge us.
And we're also raging inside.
We are raging inside, and we are like this. So Oscars this year wanted to be a little bit apolitical, non-political. And so President Zelensky asked to make a speech to Oscars. It's not like that. I guess like it's necessary, but he asked for it, and the reaction was rather curious. 1 second.
No, I'd even say it was super dramatic.
Yeah, it was ultra dramatic. So the producer of the Oscars told that 1 second, because I will have to find the exact quote. Hollywood was only showing Ukraine with attention because those affected by the conflict are white. And here is the family of Navalny.
Oh, look at that.
This family
Isn't this nice?
Yeah, they're like from I don't know, Nazi propaganda poster.
Literally.
sorry for that. They're like so
poster children. No, don't be sorry, because you would, saying this with no reason, for no context, that would be rude. But here we have a producer, a main guy saying, all those white people, everybody. Okay, if you're going to pull the whataboutism, I don't remember, a lot of people in Oscars speaking out about Syria or whatever, or Myanmar, or I don't care, or Uyghurs in China. But let's even keep that aside. You're seriously going to throw in our faces that, Ukrainians are white, ergo we're not going to talk about them. But then, what is this?
That you give the Oscars to Navalny because he's a prisoner of conscience in Russia. Not because he's white, not because he's Russian, not because he's like from the other empire, and empires should support each other, and not because you are sorry for them, just because and then by the way, you mentioned Uyghurs. There was another controversy with the Oscars. There was the actor named Donnie Yen, who is Chinese. And who is the active supporter of CCP in China and of Xi Jinping, and he gave his speech there, and he's fine giving speeches, etc.
He can be there. It's okay. He's just supporting.
It's okay just to commit genocide against some Muslims in China, against Uyghurs. But yeah, Ukraine. No, we're sorry. It's just they're so white. We just cannot talk about them.
Yes.
We are very how do you call it? Conscious.
Yes, very, very conscious. Yes. No, it's just, it's a matter of, this is the problem with actual whataboutism. And that's why I hate it. Because if you go, well, what about, and then whatever, what about this? What about that? We talk about Ukrainians. What about the other country? It only works if you actively promote and care about the said country. It doesn't work if you do nothing and say nothing for forever and then go, well, we can't speak about these guys either because, what about everybody else? It's a choice of doing nothing that bothers me, because by supporting a right cause once doesn't make you wrong or doesn't make you immoral or stupid or unfair. It's just right. But no, here you go, having these people are apparently in much more peril and have so many problems in comparison to Ukrainians. They are worthy. Ukrainians aren't, but these guys are worthy of all political statements they can give.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So what do you say? You should support one country and not another country. You should support, I don't know, Syrians but not Ukrainians, or people from Yemen and not Ukrainians, or what? You should support all of them. You should
Yes.
support the right thing and do the right thing when you have to do it. It's not just like everybody It's not like everybody says support Ukraine and stop. I don't know, wasting your time on Uyghurs in China or on Yemenis. Nobody says that. Support every cause. And the Ukrainian cause is much more important. First of all, more people die. Literally, arithmetically, more people die. This war is not in scale, is bigger than any other war since World War II. it is like more important. Sorry, not because like
it influences everybody across the ocean, Europe, a whole bunch of people, and even more so, I'm sure there would be no outrage. They could have it would have been fine. They would give this award to Navalny, and they could also let Zelensky speak, and this would be, in their minds, fair.
Absolutely.
Because that way you give the stage to everybody. Everybody's super happy-go-lucky, and everybody's fine.
But
this is the problem. This is the hypocrisy about it. Nobody's freaking out really about the fact that, everybody's free to support whatever they want to support. I don't care. But it's about, not letting one people speak out and then giving everybody else the stage for questionable reasons, for actual questionable reasons. We've spoken about this before. I'm not sure this movie is worthy of Oscar.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason of that, and we are switching to yet another topic, which is probably the most important topic of today, is what about Navalny? Like, we know that those Oscars, some outlets in the West tried to whitewash him and tried to close their eyes on some of his deeds, but we are here like closer to Russia and to everything, and with better memory and probably Google Translate, know about some things which he did and was okay with it, and he's okay with it until now. The reason is Navalny is kind of, imperialist, chauvinist, homophobe, probably a little bit Nazi, and you can, judge for yourself 1 second, and we will show you this is Navalny from 2007, adult man doing stuff. Wait a second.
Здравствуйте! Сегодня мы поговорим о борьбе с насекомыми. Никто из нас не застрахован от того, что в наш дом заползет таракан.
So he's talking about how
Ну или в форточку залетит
about fighting insects.
Все мы знаем, что от мух отлично
there's a
помогает
catch.
А от тараканов тапка. Но что делать, если таракан окажется...
The insects are the migrants to Russia from the Central Eastern countries, because Navalny was fighting migration and he was actively engaging in nationalistic movements, and he was actually comparing people with insects because they are of other, not skin color probably, but other nationality.
Other culture, something that imperialists are so scared of, it's ridiculous. Oh no, a different language. Oh no, a different religion. Oh no, a different skin color. It's going to ruin our beautiful Russian whatever, which is a completely different topic, by the way, of what Russia is and isn't. But the very fact is that this is... Imagine somebody saying something like this, somebody from the Western world, like a politician from the West.
Like Obama had this video.
Yeah, imagine finding Obama saying stuff like, all these Mexican rodents.
Even if Trump had this video.
Well, he almost kind of said it, but it was...
But he didn't.
Yeah. The problem is that he was attacked for such rhetoric by the same people who are now praising Navalny for his political stance, which I find, this is not even hypocrisy, I think it's just bad education, because people just see this shiny, pretty thing and they're like, ooh, he's so pretty and he's so anti-Putin, because anti-Putin automatically means good for some reason. And they're like, ooh, but he's pretty and has a beautiful wife and he's for democracy and he's anti-corruption and everything. So it probably means he's like us. He's not. Do your research. This is an issue I always have with, people supporting things they know nothing about. This is a larger issue of, people just for 30 years not paying attention to anything, which is a completely different topic. But this is how easily distracted everybody is. Because imagine these people who support him now, all these people from, Hollywood, known for their very, liberal views, known to their openness to other cultures, equality, acceptance, diversity, which is very, a very popular topic in the Hollywood, especially in the Oscar ceremony. And imagine the same people, praising this guy for comparing migrants to insects. Amazing.
And like the most important part, he never took his words back. Never.
Oh, he never said he was sorry.
Yeah.
He never said he was sorry.
He told that this is some kind of Putin propaganda, but he's in this video. This video is.
Yeah, Putin forced him to say it.
Authentic.
He had his hand inside of him and was saying stuff for him. That's what we know.
And it's not only this. So we're talking about the war in Ukraine here, reminding going on for a year, genocidal war of Russia against Ukraine, and we're talking about the man who was praising one of the first wars of this kind of Putin's, and he was so anti-Putin that he actually engaged in he actually called for bombing Georgians on his blog, and he told that and after that we should act according to the situation. Still, we should keep in mind that even though we want very much to launch a cruise missile upon the rodents, I'll explain here, Georgia is called Gruzia in Russia, and the rodents is, the word rodents is gryzuny. They're sound similar, and that's
look at it. He's so creative with his words.
Yeah, he's also comparing.
We should give him a Nobel Peace Prize for that as well.
Yeah. Maybe. By the way, why not? So, right, and he was like cruise missile, rodents, all this stuff. He was actively supporting the Russian war against Georgia, which is nothing it doesn't. It's the same as this war now. You just didn't know back then. But those wars in 2008 and 2014 were the same. So there's a lot of that. Kamil Galeev, Ukrainian journalist, made a little thread on Twitter. You can, by the way, we'll leave it in the description below. You can enjoy all this stuff. There's a lot of that. But one of my favorite is Ukraine, right? He now maybe a month ago, he told that Crimea should be returned to Ukraine. I don't know if it's connected to the Oscars campaign, but he said it finally. But before that, since 2014, he was against returning Crimea to Ukraine, and I will show you a little video.
Если вы станете президентом, вы попробуете вернуть Крым Украине?
Крым — это что, бутерброд с колбасой, чтобы вот туда-сюда возвращаться?
Оказалось, что да.
Вот я не считаю.
And that were his words. Yeah, that what he thought until a month ago. It was okay to annex the other country's part and do other stuff. He was okay with that.
Let's unwrap this for just one teeny tiny minute. Let's unwrap this whole onion of amazingness. So this guy literally says that, Crimea is not a sandwich to give back and forth. And what we mean by that is a whole bunch of Ukrainians with Ukrainian passports, a whole bunch of Crimean Tatars, a whole bunch of people who never chose or never knew better or didn't go through any sort of democratic process. We're talking about just brutal, savage occupation of an entire country with further ethnic cleansing, arrests, murders, fake trials, everything. And so then, obviously, after his comments, people were quite outraged. And when he went to prison, everybody's like, well, is Navalny a sandwich to, put him back and forth from out in prison and whatnot? And his team got so offended by it, they were like, oh, this is not a funny joke. There's a person in prison. Well, he dares to make the joke about literally hundreds of people whose fate is still unknown. So many people, by the way, because, again, 2014-15, a weird time, nobody actually cared. So many people were murdered by Russian siloviki, by the police forces, in courts, imprisoned for years for no reason, for extremism and whatnot. I mean, we all know the case. I mean, these cases are very well known. Some of them are still missing, but for some reason, it's an okay joke to make. And then when it's politically, relevant, and when the Oscars is upcoming and everybody's super trendy about stuff, Now you say, oh, Crimea should be returned to Ukraine. It took you, what, 10 years to come to that conclusion? Really? How convenient is that?
Yeah, and we perfectly know why he didn't say that Crimea should be returned to Ukraine. The main reason is his base, those good Russians who were those good Russians who supported him didn't support returning of Crimea either. This was an unpopular opinion in Russia. And when we are talking oh no, most of Russians are against the war, most of Russians are not imperialists in any way, because look at how many people supported Navalny. This guy, he was actually okay-ish with this. And for that, I wanted to...
Because it is very important to distinguish. This guy is not an activist. He's not because people compare him to some martyrs. He's first and foremost a politician.
Exactly.
Who only cares about achieving his political goals and winning elections, and he will say anything that will satisfy the agenda of his voters. So this is nothing to do with conscience, with changing your mind. It's about, making people who matter happy. He was not in prison. He was talking to his voters. Crimea was Russian. Everything was fine. Now he's in prison and needs all this international support. Internationally, Crimea is recognized as Ukraine. He changes his rhetoric.
And all his voters are in Georgia.
To do with anything. Yes, exactly.
I wanted to show this movie we are discussing, by the way, the movie Navalny, the documentary which won an Oscars.
By the way, we're talking about a movie here.
We were talking about the movie. It actually had this moment with Navalny in 2018 when he was campaigning for a presidential. He had a presidential campaign which failed because he was not let to run. But anyway, and he had those rallies and people could ask questions. So one guy asked a question about the wars and what Navalny thinks of it.
Алексей, такой вопрос. Война в Украине и война в Сирии. Вы хотите платить за войну? Я прекращу войну.
Yeah.
What?
Wars are bad and killing kids with chemical weapons in Syria and shelling, a sovereign territory of another country is bad, and I don't... No, do you want to pay for it?
Do you want to pay for it?
God damn it.
Do you want 10 rubles more to your pension or something? Where's this moral compass of this prisoner of conscience? I mean, I don't know if... Nelson Mandela said things like that, he would be cancelled immediately.
He would never even think of saying anything like this, because this is kind of as every formed person, every grown-up has their set of values and their core, that if you are a moral person, they're not exchangeable. You just believe things or you don't believe them. Obviously, the only reason this guy could find to justify that, wars in Syria and Ukraine are bad is monetary incentive. You don't want to pay for it. Well, imagine some other country attacked Ukraine and Russians wouldn't have to pay for it. That somehow makes it fine?
Yeah,
is that somehow
I don't know,
okay?
If Chinese paid for it. Then we're okay.
Yeah, then we're okay. We don't care
then.
that.
pays for it. We're fine
Yeah,
with that.
but give this guy an Oscar. He's according to his wife, protecting democracy at all costs. Oh my God.
Because democracy in Russia will automatically lead to peaceful, good Russia, not militarized in any way, because it will magically change. And by the way, we're showing moments from the movie. The movie actually mentioned the question, and that's by the way another problem with the movie. It's really, really complimentary. It didn't criticize Navalny at any point. The main character of the movie is so one-sided. He's almost like I don't know, Superman in Superman movies is less one-sided than this character. But they actually asked him about his participation in the Nazi March. And for those who don't know, there was such a thing, Russian March, which is something like, Charlottesville in United States. You remember this, when guys were marching with swastikas. Swastikas are forbidden in Russia. They were not marching with swastikas, but they used all the other stuff which matches the ideology. And he was there. He was almost leading this march. He was almost, I don't remember, he was probably one of the organizers. And he was asked about it in the movie on 28th minute.
Один за всех! Все до одного! Один за всех! Все до одного! Один за всех! Все до одного! Слава России! С праздником!
Did he almost...
Did he almost...
did he almost do that? Ooh. Yeah, this face. And then he was asked about it, and he first I am switching the page because for 40 seconds, 30 seconds, he was saying something irrelevant, but then he was asked again, brought that they were Nazis on this march.
Sorry? Were there not a couple of Nazi guys at that march? But certainly a Zig Heiler would be a different category that you would not want to associate with or march beside.
Well, in the normal world, in the normal political system, of course, I would never be in the same political party with them. But we are creating coalition, broader coalition to fight authoritarian regime, just to achieve the situation where everyone can participate in election.
Because a lot of politicians will be uncomfortable even associating or being in the same photograph with one of these guys.
No.
You're comfortable with that?
I'm okay with that, and I consider it's my political superpower. I can talk to everyone.
Imagine Zelensky making a speech at some I don't know, nationalistic, not even like Nazi,
but like just
Nazi, but nationalistic convention or something like that. I mean,
no, it's the other part that freaking gets me. It's they're Russian citizens too, and I want to represent all of them. You know who's also a Russian citizen?
Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, isn't that a funny thing?
And it's just even in this movie, he doesn't denounce any of the stuff he did. He did horrible stuff. He encouraged he encouraged violence against migrants. He encouraged violence against people from Middle Asia, etc. By the way, lots of people were killed back then. There were radical groups who were going around Russia and killing people, migrants from Middle Asia, just regular workers, not like terrorists or something. No, just regular workers, regular people. They were taking them to the forest, torturing them and killing them. Those were the guys from this march, and those were the guys who supported Navalny. And he made the contribution, a huge contribution, because he was a popular blogger even then, to that stuff. And we are now discussing Oscars to this guy. Thank God, not a Nobel Prize.
Yet. Yet, first of all. Second of all, it just shows how they do no research. In the movie, it's just, you have to be so blind or be so interested in whitewashing the guy that you can tell. You don't have to be an educated person to understand that he's evading an answer. You don't have to be, know anything about Russia. There's this guy asking, what about your friends, the neo-Nazis? And he goes, well, I represent all of them, and I can talk to everyone. How is that a good thing? How is that something you show off, by the way? I'm so good at talking, I can talk to both neo-Nazis and everybody else. How is that? We kind of made this whole deal in the civilized world a couple of decades ago that we don't talk to neo-Nazis, that we don't make them part of discourse. Of course, we publicly. Kind of slowly forgetting about them. Yeah, publicly. But the point is, we don't talk to people who promote violence, who promote hate, who promote racial purity, which is an insane thing in its own. But,
look, Melanie,
this guy's proud of it.
You're so outraged. You just don't understand. You don't understand. He's Russian. Russians are okay if they, I don't know, did this guy kill someone on air, right there? In the movie?
No,
probably
it didn't.
Probably not. He's a good Russian. That's the
The bar is so low.
That's
the bar
that's
is
the bar.
so low.
He's great. He's fucking awesome. Because he did he participate in the war in Ukraine? Did he kill? Did he get arms? He's great. He supported it. Yes, he supported the imperialistic approach, etc., etc. But he's great because he didn't do it himself. Someone else did it for him.
Anti-Putin. We love being anti-Putin, you know, because Putin's the bad guy. So many Putins on the front line killing Ukrainians. So many Putins on the, you know, doing horrible things and giving horrible orders. I literally saw a whole bunch of Putins in one of the investigations creating and making rockets and then launching them at children. By the way, it's also a whole bunch of Putins finding coordinates for these civilians' homes that are bombed every single week in Ukraine. This is all Putin, because he's against Putin. It's something that we're witnessing the most fraudulent and the biggest election of Russian politics in the history of the world, and we give one of the candidates an Oscar and endorse him. This is ridiculous. Since when does the whole world, including Hollywood, take part in elections?
Yeah, I mean, like this film is shot like it's not a documentary. It's not. This film is shot like the PR movie for his election campaign. And the most funny part about it, the people in the West don't know it, but Russians fucking hated the movie. Like nobody liked this movie. Even Navalny supporters didn't like the movie because it sucks. It doesn't show anything. People had a lot of questions about what happened between those investigations, what happened to him in Berlin, what decisions did he make, why did he make a decision to return to Russia, how did he make his decision.
Exactly.
The film doesn't show anything that Navalny team didn't want to show. And I mean, I've seen documentaries which are using, I don't know, like agents, the moles, agents undercover, risking their lives to uncover some truth. And this is some kind of a lazy piece, which just a PR stunt or something like that. And it doesn't even show anything new, which nobody knew.
Literally, we were talking, while we were preparing for the show, we were talking yesterday, and our first issue was that how do you take another movie, put it in your movie, edit it a little bit, and call it a movie? It's already on the internet for, I mean, millions of people have seen it. This is just, what is this? How is this? We're talking about cinematography here. We're talking about the most prestigious, most, definite award that shows, the best of the best at editing and directing and acting and all this art. And then what happened here? Nothing happened. Well, imagine there was this guy, he was poisoned, he decided to go to Russia, he got arrested. And the only interesting part, he filmed himself with his crew a couple of months before that.
Yeah, that's like the great investigation, great everything, but like it's just, okay, we understand. This is a political stunt. What is it for? Is it maybe some kind of a whitewashing of so-called good Russians who are against the war, and showing, like, this movie, by the way, shows those massive protests against Navalny's detention. But I might be wrong, but if like there would be an actual big protest, they probably could succeed or something at this moment. I remember this moment in 2018. I by the way was a little bit inspired by that. Sorry for that. I'm really sorry. And I recorded the video, like how revolutions happen and what should happen to the Russian society, so they would go through the revolution. Like the society should collapse like a domino when people just switch in their opinion because it's more comfortable to have an opposition opinion. And it didn't happen. Like it was the most hot moment, and Navalny knew that it will be the moment when the revolution can happen, when things can start to boil, then when people will be outraged about this. And they were not. They were like, oh, another guy poisoned. Oh, okay, fuck it. There were like 5,000 people on the streets in the city of 14 million people.
You know what bothers me is that these guys were eager enough to go defend the politician, which, I mean, they have right to do so. And the same people usually say they're against the war, but they couldn't muster any power and repeat the same kind of protests like that. You mean they blocked the airport, but they couldn't do the same against war that influences them, by the way, too. They bury a whole bunch of friends and family, but that's apparently not enough and not good enough and not worthy of a cause, which I find deeply disturbing, because it just really goes to show the kind of morality of it all, really. And after all, I mean, this movie exists, right? Navalny's in prison. Let's just skip the whole Ukraine thing for now, because, well, I guess Russians only care about Russia. Fine. Did anything really happen? Because at the end of the movie, he goes like, well, hold on. What if you're imprisoned? Would you want to say, to your fellow compatriots? And he goes, well, keep doing what you're doing, keep pushing and hold on. And then a whole bunch of people get arrested, like people who are actually doing something. And that's it. So he doesn't even have enough influence to,
inside a coup, inside a revolution or something.
Literally nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. And these people call him a dissident. Oh, this bothers me deeply. This bothers me deeply, and the whole, for some reason people want to take part in it and are willing to overlook some atrocious details, which kind of says, I'm going to be this. It says a lot about our society, but it does.
Yeah, unfortunately. And yeah, I like the feeling I got about this movie, and probably this is the main thing I got from it. When I watched it two days ago, I felt like I was transformed in time. Like nothing happened. No, Mariupol with hundreds of thousands dead, and we can't even count them because they are buried under under their own houses. No genocide attempt, no Bucha, nothing. It's just a great world where one guy was poisoned by another guy, and he investigated it, and everybody knew. And that's
frustrating. I know the feeling. I watched this movie when it just came out, so I don't have the same feeling, because I was just like, meh, I'll watch it, and it was not in any way, shape, or form influential for me. The only thing that I can take away from this is that I really fear that it's not about even Navalny at this point. I actually have to defend the guy for a teeny bit. I just have to be fair. The director came out on stage before Navalny's wife spoke, and he said a couple of words from Alexey Navalny from prison. And it was Navalny who actually said something, through the director, about, Russia's war against Ukraine. So it took this guy, who we have been crapping on for a past hour, to actually say something about Russia's war against Ukraine when everybody else in that room was unwilling to. This is what I mean by saying, this is not even about him at this point, and this is about Ukraine, that they were so eager to give this guy a podium, and they were so eager to lift him up and make this martyr out of him, that they literally, decided to be silent about a huge, very pressing issue. And he was the one saying it anyway. So by this logic, they support him. They give him the stage for political positions, for political statements, his wife, his friends, everybody. And he still chooses to say something about Ukraine, which would somehow maybe make them think maybe, maybe that was a wrong decision. Maybe we should have, actually let Zelensky say something about this. Maybe we should have talked it over. But there was nothing. There wasn't even, how do you say, it wasn't even reflecting on anything. They weren't sitting and thinking, making a statement next time we'll give everybody, a chance to say, because we care about everything, about all countries. So we're going to make it, as important, as influential as possible. We have this huge stage.
Azerbaijan, then we'll
and everybody. But no, there was nothing. There was nothing. They literally didn't care.
Yeah, that's the saddest part. And saying Hollywood is like, there's a lot of hypocrisy in Hollywood. Is kind of how do you say this? I don't know, not original, but this is probably what it is, and we have to end here. And yeah, thank you everyone who watched this and support our cause first and foremost, and then support our Patreon, donate so we could continue doing these videos, and press subscribe, like, everything you wish. Press the links in the description below, and thank you very much.
Write all the comments about how you hated us, how we're so annoying. Yes.
Yeah, about my haircut, about Melania's haircut. And yeah, thank you very much. This was Melania Podolak. I'm Mark Kaplan, and have a good day.